In this mini lesson, we're going to look at how to calculate a grouped median. At the very top, I've got the ages of 50 people. This is ungrouped data, and if we were to calculate the median for those, we would put them in order, which they all are, and then because there are 50 people, then the median would be halfway between the two middle ones. So that would be the 25.5 value, which is right here. Oops, not there. Right there. So the median would end up being 74. But when we're dealing with group data, which is shown on the left here, we simply show the class of the age and then the frequency or the number of people that are in each class. So we lose some of the detail. We don't see the actual numbers. This particular 14 is shown right here as the frequency in the 10 to 19 class. If we take a look at the 50s, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that's this number right here. All right, I'm going to erase that, and then we will continue on how to actually calculate the median. Calculating the median is done in 3 steps. So the first step is to note that the median is the middle value of the data set, or another name for that is the 50th percentile. That means that 50% of the values are higher than that number and 50% are lower than that number. We can use this procedure for any percentile. 35th percentile means that 35% of the values are lower than that particular number, and 65% are higher. So the median is at the halfway point, or the 50th percentile, and is found by this formula here. 50 over 100 times n, which in our particular case is also 50. That's the number of values in our data set. And that turns out to be equal to the 25.5 value. Now, we don't do 25.5 because when you group the data, you lose some of the precision anyways. So think of 100,000 people in Red Deer being classified in a table. The difference between the 50,000th person and the 50,000th and a half person is virtually nothing. And we wouldn't know what that difference is because we don't see the actual numbers, just the frequencies in the class. So for group data, we'd simply say that the median is the 50th percentile. So that was step number 1. Step number 2 is to figure out which class contains the median value, or in our case, the 25th value. So step 2, that is going to be in class. And this is where we're going to need to go to the less than cumulative frequency values. And so we're going to take each of these frequencies and start adding them up as we go down. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Whoops. Plus 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. Plus 2 is 5. Plus 7 is 12. 22, 34, 44, and then 50. By the time we get to the bottom, we should be up to 50, which is our n. Now, we're looking in that particular column for where 25 would fall, and you can see that it's going to fall in the 70s, right in here. And that's because by the time we get to the end of the 70s, I seem to have lost my 34 there. By the time we get to the end of the 70s, we're up to 34 people. By the end of the 60s, we're just at 22 people. So the 25th value is somewhere in that class of the 70s. So it's in the class of 70 to 79. Step number 3 is to use the formula that says the pth percentile, in this case the 50th percentile, is equal to L plus P over 100 times N minus M over F times C. Now we've actually calculated this particular part right here. That's this right there. So it's just the number 25. The lower bound of the class is 70, because we're in the class 70 to 79. So 70 plus 25 minus, and then this m is actually this 22. So it's the cumulative frequency up to the class that contains the median. So there's 22 values up to 70, and not including 70. So from 69 down. So we subtract those off. And then we've got the frequency of the median class, which is 12. And then finally, the width, which is 10. And that's just 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 6, 7, 8, 9 is 10 distinct values there. So when we do the calculation now, we come to 70 plus 3/12 or 1/4 times 10. So what that's saying is that there's 22 values before we get to the 70s. And so the median is going to be 70 plus some proportion of that class in the 70s. We want to go to the 25th value, so that's 3 values in. And if there's 12 values in the class, it's 3/12 or 1/4 of the distance. The width is 10, so 1/4 of 10 is 2.5. And so that gives us then 70 plus 2.5 is 72.5. And that's the grouped median. And that ends the lesson.